All the signs were in English. The crowd chanted in English, and Don Barry shouted over the microphone in English. And that's why, kids, you keep your sticks on the ice. If you just make the effort, you'll score once or twice. Barrio smiled and wiped the sweat off his blue nose. Even in Barrio's elementary school, all the classes were in English. One morning, Bario and his fellow classmates started learning about Canada's official languages. His history teacher told them, since our gigantic country was first created, many important matters have been debated. We've agreed that languages must be respected, and that both French and English must be protected. At lunchtime, all of Barrio's friends spoke English too, and Bario always responded in English. His friend Sidney Crossberry said, the Bridgewater Bambleberries can skate fast, I hear. And Bario responded, but if we practice hard, we can win the cup this year. Bario almost always spoke English at school and with his friends. It was only when Bario got home that he started speaking French again. Family, he caught himself saying things in English. That night, for example, as they ate gluten coffee for supper, Bario said, Merci, Maman, this is my favorite dish. And now I'm not prepared for more hockey practice. Because Bario was used to speaking English all day, it was hard for him to switch to French at night. Bario started to notice that he was speaking more and more English at home, but his family tried hard to do everything in French. They always watched the Bears hockey league in French. They listened to good music while eating supper, and Bario's mama always read to him in French. But every time Bario left home, he had to start speaking English again. One evening, the Oxford Blues traveled to Canada. There was a bog filled with French-speaking Cranberries. In the second period of the game, Sidney had an argument with the coach of the Cranberries. Sidney looked to Bario for help, understanding what the coach was saying. The coach was speaking in French. Bario tried to respond, but he stumbled over his words. Bario was nervous speaking in French. Finally, the referee ruled in favor of the Cranberries. Bario's teammates were disappointed, and Bario felt embarrassed. He felt like he had let his team down. That night, Bario had a nightmare. In his dream, his grand-papa came to him and said, Qu'est-ce que tu fais? Tu perds ton héritage français. Bario tried to respond, but he could no longer speak French. He was about to say something, only English words came out. He was losing his language, and this made his grand-papa sad. In a blue sweat. The next morning at hockey practice, Bario listened as all the other players spoke English. Billy Wickenberry shouted, Let's make shortcake of the strawberry tea. Skate hard, skate fast, we'll make strawberry cream. But Bario wasn't excited. He had the blues. He was worried that the Bleuets were slowly losing their language. Bario needed to find a solution. He needed to find a way to protect his language and culture. Upon his mother's advice, Bario studied all week long. He opened book after book and read about ways to protect the French language. After website, looking for ways to protect his culture. Bario listened to French radio. He watched French television, French-speaking friends and neighbors for ideas. By the end of the week, Bario had a solution. All the books and websites he had read. He thought about all the French radio and television shows he had listened to. He thought about all the friends and neighbors whom he had talked to. Bario had been practicing his French skills. He had been reading, listening, and speaking in French. Bario realized that to preserve his language and culture, he needed to continue studying French. The school had to offer classes in French. That night, Bario phoned the school very board. He said, We've agreed that languages must be respected, and that French and English must be protected. To preserve our French, the Bleuix need language to write and read. The next day, a service berry from the schoolberry board replied, Dear Mr. Bario LeBleuix, in order to be taught in French at school, meet the muffin batter rule. There must be enough plurals in your patch to make a muffin batter batch. If you can meet the muffin batter rule, you will be able to be taught in French at school. Mario knew what he needed to do now. He had to gather a large enough group of Bleuix to make a muffin batter batch. The only problem was that Bario didn't know how many Bleuix that would take. He had never made muffin batter before. He wondered, how many Bleuix are in a muffin batter batch? He decided to travel around Oxford and make a list of all the Bleuix in town. He would visit each and every one if that's what it took to meet the muffin batter rule. One night after winning the hockey game against the Duas Strawberries, Bario approached the Bleuix on the ice. Grâce en français, ça te dit? Si t'es d'accord, signe donc ici. The young Bleuix signed Bario's list. Feeling more encouraged than ever, Bario asked every Bleuix in his patch to sign his list. He reminded everyone of the muffin batter rule. There must be enough Bleuix in your patch to make a muffin batter batch. If you can meet the muffin batter rule, you will be taught in French at school. After a few days, Bario had a list of most of the Bleuix in Oxford. He sent the list to the schoolberry board and hoped there were enough names to make a muffin batter batch. Meanwhile, at his next hockey game, the signs at his rink were still in English. The crowd still shouted in English, and Don Barry shouted over the microphone in English. Sydney scores and the whole patch erupts. The Blues will play for the Stanley Cup. The Oxford Blues had made the Stanley Cup final, where they would be facing the best team in the Barrie Hockey League. Everyone was happy and excited for Bario, especially his parents. Bario knew that he should be excited too. He was about to play for the greatest hockey trophy in the Barrie Hockey League. But Bario still had the Blues. He hadn't received a reply from the schoolberry board. He had no idea if there were enough Bleuix in Oxford to make a muffin batter batch. Would he be able to take classes in French at school? Would he be able to protect his language and culture? Bario wasn't so sure anymore. The night of the Stanley Cup final, and Bario still hadn't heard back from the schoolberry board. But just before he left for his game, he received a message on his BlackBerry. It was from the schoolberry board. Bario held his BlackBerry in the air and read the message. Dear Mr. Bario LeBleuix, we received your list and thought it through. After much debate and many voices, we have made the following choices. There are enough Bleuix in your patch to make a muffin batter batch. Since you meet the muffin batter rule, you will be taught in French at school. That night, Bario went to the Stanley Cup final against the Bridgewater Brambleberries. At the rink, the signs were still in English. The crowd still shouted in English, and Don Barry still shouted over the microphone in English. But Bario smiled. Although it would still be a challenge to protect his language, Bario could finally be taught in French at school. This was a big step, and it would go a long way toward protecting his language and culture. His grand-papa would be proud of him. That night, as the last seconds of the Stanley Cup final approached, this is what Don Barry announced. Bario skates and squeezes his way into the slot. He puts the puck in. The Blues win. What a shot! The Oxford Blues had won the Stanley Cup. In the clock, Bario smiled. There were two victories that day. Not only had the Oxford Blues won the Stanley Cup, but Bario could finally be taught in French at school. As Bario had the Stanley Cup proudly over his stem, he said, Bravo aux blueberries et aux bleuets qui vivent ensemble avec respect.
Story? Madame Chance, we just want to check to see that you are still able to hear us.
Yes.
Okay, okay, you can talk now because we took the special microphone out, so we can now talk and hear you at the same time.
Wonderful.
Everybody there at St. Anne's can hear us?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen again, and we are going to have a little quiz about the story that we just read, the Bario LeBleuix story. Does anyone have questions at St. Anne or Sir Edgar Bauer before we do the little quiz to see if we have enough blueberries for the muffin batter batch?
We have no questions here. We had a little bit of a hard time hearing it. So we just sat patiently and listened to the best we could.
Excellent. Okay, what about here? Are there any questions about Bario LeBleuix? Okay. So we have, I'm going to share my screen again, and we have a Scratch program that is going to do a little quiz.
Okay, so right, we're ready. Whoa. Start. Okay, sitting down to watch.
Could we have somebody read the first question from Madame Chance's class?
Okay, Ariana.
What does gospel mean in English?
Okay, and could we have someone here answer the question? So you won't be able to type it in. You'll just have to tell us, because I'll have to type.
4.
Okay, let's type that in and see what we get. Awesome, we got 1 point. You'll see in the top left-hand corner. Could we have someone here read the next question? Okay.
What does easy mean in English?
Okay, and from Madame Chance's class, do we have someone that can answer that question?
Ariel.
Right here.
It means, say it louder.
Right here.
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 Okay, I'm going to type that in. Excellent. Okay, now from Madame Chance's class, can we have someone read the next question?
Aaliyah.
Who knew the story? What does Alexander mean in English?
And do we have someone here that knows the answer?
Aiden! Alexander means together.
Okay. Type that in. Excellent. Congratulations, everyone. You got 3 out of 3 on the quiz from the story. We are ready to try out some coding now. I know that our friends here at Sir Edgar Bauer have Chromebooks ready to go. Madame Chance, are you also going to be doing some coding with us?
We do. We did coding this morning. The Chromebooks are still here and ready to try some more.
Okay, I think what we're going to do is we're going to do some of the coding from Hour of Code on code.org.
Okay.
So I can guide the students to that. The program that we did here in Scratch is going to be a little bit too advanced today to start off with, but I think our friends here are going to go to the Chromebooks. Does your group need a chance to get to their Chromebooks?
Yep, a couple minutes. Okay, guys, where you go?
Okay, let's get to our Chromebooks. Do we have anyone here in this class that's done some Scratch before? Has anyone done any Scratch before? Scratch programming? Okay. If you wanted to try out any of the lessons from Canada Learning Code Week, there are a couple of them that might be okay to start off with, and one of them is around Terry's shoes. It's about Terry Fox. That might be one to start off with, but all I did was I just did a search for Canada Learning Code, and they have, I think, about 9 different lessons, and they have videos showing all of them, including the Bario one that we did today. Okay, so if it's something you wanted to try out at home with your parents or siblings, you can do that with Scratch without actually creating any accounts. For code.org, D2L, it is one of the links at the bottom of the page under K-8 tools, and you can see that there is a code logo, but you can also just do a search or type in, if you're not sure how to do that, you can just go to code.org. So we're going to click on the one that's in D2L, and it's just code.org and then learn at the end of the line. So we're going to give everyone a chance to get to that. We're going to go to code.org and then /learn. If you have the right website, could I ask you to try and help a friend nearby? Some of you have it, some of you don't have it.
Our code.
I'm going to do the code.org one. Madam Chance, are you guys doing okay to get to the website?
Yep, here. Let's go there.
The website that I'm showing right now is this website. I'm going to wait for everybody on the spot. You can say something, but just ask me what my question is. You can go off to the top and go back to my phone. That way. Oh, and you can put it on this one. Can you help your neighbor beside you if they're having trouble getting to the code site? Some of you are there and some of you are not. How are you doing, Madame Chance?
We are almost all on the hour of code page. We're almost there.
Okay. I think our grade 2s are just about ready to go also. And we have a bunch of different topics we can pick from in here. Many of them are going to be the same. So my suggestion is that we, as a group, we can try a different one another time. We pick the wayfinding with code, the Minecraft hour of code, is one. I would suggest the Minecraft one is pretty cool. I would like to do that one. Are we okay with Minecraft in your class?
With Minecraft here.
Okay. So I think, Madame Chance, we are going to continue to do, our Google Hangout, but we're going to stop broadcasting and just share with each other now.